You wanna know how I sent my own mama to federal prison for 25 years, ruined my brother's life, and divorced my sorry-ass husband all in the same damn week? Simple. She stole the house my grandmama bought me. Then she cracked open my safe and stole 8 kilograms of gold bars. So I did what any good Christian woman would do. I called the cops. I pressed charges. And I watched them fools get hauled off in handcuffs while Amazing Grace played in my head. People always ask me, Simone, how you sleep at night after destroying your own family? Baby. I sleep like a fat baby on a full stomach. Because family don't mean you get to rob me blind and then call me selfish when I fight back. My grandmama didn't scrub floors for 40 years so her crackhead grandson could move his baby mama into my house and throw a housewarming barbecue in my damn backyard. Hell no. So when my mama stood in my living room, pointed her crusty finger at me, and screamed, "You ain't nothing but a selfish bitch who forgot where she came from," I smiled. I folded my arms. And I said, "Mama, you got about 5 minutes to get your lying ass out of my house before I call the police and tell them about the 8 kilograms of gold you stuffed under your mattress." She swung first. I ducked. And then all hell broke loose. My brother Tyrone came charging at me like a bull with hemorrhoids, screaming, "I'll kill you, you bougie-ass snitch." He didn't make it 3 steps. I grabbed Grandmama's cast-iron skillet off the stove and laid him out cold on my kitchen floor. Right there. One swing. Bam. His little girlfriend started shrieking like a banshee, pulling out her phone, screaming, "I'm going live. The whole world gonna see you assault my man." I snatched that phone out her hand and stomped it into 10 pieces. "You want to go viral?" I said. "Let's go viral. Let's show the whole world the police body cam footage of your boyfriend getting cuffed for grand theft." She shut up real quick. And Mama? Mama stood there with her mouth hanging open like a bass fish, looking at her golden boy laid out on my floor, looking at me, then looking at the skillet in my hand. You hit my son. Your son broke into my house," I said. "Your son stole my property. Your son threatened to kill me. In my state, that's a stand-your-ground case. I could have shot him and been in the right. You should be thanking Jesus I only used a skillet." She started crying. Real tears. Big, ugly, mascara streaking down her fat cheeks tears. "Oh Lord, oh Jesus, my baby, my precious baby boy, she's a demon, she's possessed by the devil himself." I just laughed. Possessed? Baby, I'm possessed by Grandmama. And she always said, "Don't start nothing, won't be nothing." That's when the cops kicked down the door. But let me back up. Because you need to understand how we got here. You need to understand who I am, who my grandmama was, and why that house meant more to me than every drop of blood running through my mama's ungrateful veins. My name is Simone Denise Washington. 34 years old. Senior forensic accountant at Whitfield & Associates, the biggest black-owned accounting firm in Atlanta. I make 6 figures a year, I own 3 properties, and my credit score is 820. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you who you're dealing with. Because the woman who built me, the woman who raised me while my mama was out chasing men and my daddy was doing 15 years in state prison for armed robbery, was my grandmama, Beatrice May Washington. Miss Beatrice to you. Grandmama was a nurse's aide at Grady Memorial Hospital for 42 years. 42 years of emptying bedpans, lifting patients twice her size, and working double shifts so her granddaughter could have school supplies and ballet lessons. She bought that house in Cascade Heights in 1989, when the neighborhood was still rough and the banks wouldn't give a black woman a loan without a man to co-sign. You know what she did? She saved. Every nickel. Every dime. Every dollar she got from overtime, from holiday pay, from the little side jobs she did braiding hair in the kitchen on Saturday mornings. She saved for 15 years, and in 2004, she walked into the bank with a cashier's check for the full amount and said, "I want to buy a house for my granddaughter." The loan officer laughed at her. She didn't laugh when she saw the check. Grandmama put that house in my name when I was 16 years old. She said, Simone, this is your foundation. No matter what happens in your life, no matter who comes and goes, you will always have a roof over your head. This house is your freedom. Don't you ever let anybody take it from you. She died 3 years ago. Cancer took her slow and painful, and I sat by her bed every single day, holding her hand while she faded away. On her last day, she opened her eyes, looked at me, and whispered, "Don't let them take your foundation, baby girl." I promised her I wouldn't. 3 months after we buried her, my mama started asking about the house. Mama. Patricia Denise Washington. But everybody calls her Mama D. Mama D is 58 years old, weighs about 280 pounds, and hasn't held a steady job since the Reagan administration. She lives in a rented duplex down in Riverdale with her precious baby boy, my brother Tyrone, and his revolving door of baby mamas. Mama D's entire life philosophy can be summed up in 3 words: God will provide. And by God, she means me. Ever since Grandmama died, I've been the provider for that whole household. I paid the rent on their duplex. I paid the car note on Tyrone's Dodge Charger. I paid for Mama's blood pressure medication, her insulin, her church trips to revival conferences in Memphis and Birmingham and wherever else the Holy Ghost was supposedly moving. I paid for Tyrone's child support when he fell behind, which was always because Tyrone couldn't hold a job at McDonald's without getting fired for stealing chicken nuggets. I paid for everything. And you know what I got in return? Attitude. Resentment. Mama D telling anybody who would listen that I thought I was better than everybody because I lived in Buckhead and drove a Lexus and didn't come to Sunday dinner every week. Simone's too good for us now, she'd say, loud enough for me to hear. She forgot where she came from. She forgot who raised her. She forgot that family is supposed to take care of family. Grandmama raised me. I wanted to scream. You were out getting your hair done and your nails done and your back blown out by whatever man would buy you a drink. But I didn't scream. I kept the peace. Because that's what black women are supposed to do, right? Keep the peace. Swallow your feelings. Be the bigger person. Turn the other cheek. I kept the peace for 10 years. And it almost cost me everything. Now let me tell you about my husband. Marcus. Marcus Terrell Johnson. Fine as frog hair, charming as a used car salesman, and about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. I met him at a Morehouse homecoming party 12 years ago, when I was still young and dumb and thought a man with a college degree and a good suit was automatically a good man. He swept me off my feet. Took me to nice restaurants. Bought me flowers. Told me I was beautiful and smart and that he wanted to build an empire with me. What he didn't tell me was that he wanted me to build the empire while he sat on his ass and reaped the benefits. We got married 8 years ago, and within 6 months, Marcus quit his job as a marketing coordinator to start his own consulting business. His consulting business was, apparently, consulting with his boys about which strip club to hit on Tuesday nights. He never made a dime. Not one dime in 8 years. I paid for everything. The mortgage on our house in Buckhead. Both car notes. The vacations to Jamaica and Cancun. The designer clothes he wore to business meetings that were really just him drinking Hennessy at his cousin's barbershop. And I accepted it. I made excuses for him. He's trying, I told my friends. He just needs the right opportunity. He's a good man. He loves me. He wasn't a good man. And he didn't love me. He loved my checking account. Now, Mama D and Marcus never got along. Oh, they smiled in each other's faces at family gatherings. They hugged and said I love you and pretended everything was sweet. But Mama D always thought Marcus was a bum. And Marcus always thought Mama D was a leech. The irony is, they were both right. They were both doing the exact same thing to me, just from different angles. And neither one of them saw the problem with it. The only person who ever saw the truth was my best friend, Keisha. Keisha Marie Robinson. Attorney at law, partner at Robinson and Hayes Legal Group, and the baddest divorce lawyer in the state of Georgia. Keisha and I met at Spelman, freshman year, when we were both assigned to the same dorm room. She was from Chicago, loud and proud, with a mouth that could cut glass and a brain that never stopped working. She took one look at Marcus at our wedding and whispered in my ear, "You sure about this one, sis? Because I'm getting future alimony payment vibes." I should have listened. But I didn't. I had to learn the hard way. So now you know the players. Mama D, the leech. Tyrone, the golden child. Marcus, the bum. Keisha, the ride-or-die best friend. And me, Simone Denise Washington, the woman who was about to burn it all down. The day everything fell apart started like any other Tuesday. I was coming back from a week-long business trip to Dallas, auditing a real estate development company that was hemorrhaging money. 7 days of digging through spreadsheets, catching fraud, and presenting my findings to a boardroom full of white men who didn't like being told they were being robbed by their own CFO. I was exhausted. All I wanted was to go to Grandmama's house, pour myself a glass of sweet tea, and sit on the porch like we used to do when I was a little girl. See, I never sold Grandmama's house. Even after we bought the big house in Buckhead with the 5 bedrooms and the chef's kitchen that Marcus just had to have. I kept Grandmama's house as my sanctuary. My office was still in the spare bedroom. My books were on the shelves. Her old curtains were still hanging in the windows. I went there when I needed to think, when I needed to breathe, when I needed to be Simone instead of Mrs. Marcus Johnson or Patricia Washington's ungrateful daughter. It was my foundation. Just like Grandmama said. So when I pulled up to the house that Tuesday afternoon and saw a U-Haul truck parked in the driveway, my first thought was that I was hallucinating from exhaustion. Then I saw the balloons. Purple and gold balloons, tied to the mailbox, spelling out congratulations. Congratulations for what? I parked my Lexus behind the U-Haul and got out, my heart already starting to pound in my chest. 2 men I didn't recognize were carrying my grandmother's antique china cabinet out the front door. My grandmother's china cabinet. The one she bought in 1962 with her very first paycheck from the hospital. The one she polished every Sunday morning before church. "Put that down," I said. My voice came out calm. Too calm. Like the ocean right before a hurricane. The 2 men looked at me, confused. "Ma'am, we were hired to move some furniture. This piece is going to the dump." Dump? I walked up to them, and something in my face must have been terrifying, because they both took a step back. "Put that china cabinet back in the house," I said. "Right now. And then tell me who hired you." Before they could answer, the front door swung open. And out walked a woman I had never seen before in my life. She was young, maybe 22 or 23, wearing pink sweatpants and a cropped top that said Bride T.O.B. in rhinestones. Her hair was in long box braids with purple tips, and she was chewing gum with her mouth open like a cow chewing cud. "Can I help you?" she said, her voice dripping with attitude. "This is private property. We're moving in." I blinked. "You're what?" "Moving in." She said it slow, like I was stupid. "This is my fiancé's house now. His mama gave it to us as a wedding gift." I felt something snap in my brain. A tiny little wire that had been holding my sanity together for 10 years. "His mama," I repeated. "That's right. Mama D said this house belongs to the family now. So you need to get your bougie ass off my property before I call the cops." I smiled. I couldn't help it. It was either smile or commit murder, and orange is not my color. "Let me get this straight," I said. "You're telling me that Patricia Washington gave you this house as a wedding gift?" "Patricia who?" "I'm talking about Mama D." "And yeah, she did. It's Tyrone's house now." "Our house." Tyrone. My brother. My 30-year-old, unemployed, 4 baby mamas having brother. Mama D had given him my house. My grandmama's house. The house she scrubbed floors and emptied bedpans for 42 years to buy. The house she put in my name when I was 16 years old and made me promise never to let anyone take. Oh, I said. Okay. I see. I pushed past the gumsmacking fiancé and walked into my house. And Lord Jesus, what I saw made my blood boil so hot I'm surprised steam wasn't coming out of my ears. My furniture was gone. All of it. My sectional sofa, my coffee table, my bookshelves, my area rugs, my grandmother's rocking chair, all gone. In their place was the ugliest furniture I had ever seen in my life. A black leather sectional with gold trim that looked like something out of a 1980s music video. A glass coffee table with fake gold lions for legs. A giant painting on the wall of black Jesus surrounded by stacks of money. And on the mantel, where Grandmama's old Bible used to sit, there was a framed photo of Tyrone and his fiancée posing in front of a rented Lamborghini, throwing up gang signs. Nice, right? The fiancé said, coming up behind me. We got it all from Rent-A-Center. Tyrone says we'll own it all in 24 months if we make the payments on time. I didn't answer her. I walked down the hallway to the master bedroom, Grandmama's old room, and pushed open the door. The bed was gone. Grandmama's cedar chest was gone. And in the corner, where my safe was supposed to be, there was just an empty space on the floor. My safe. My 400-pound, fireproof, bolted-to-the-floor safe. The safe that contained 8 kilograms of investment-grade gold bars with serial numbers, purchased over 5 years from the U.S. Gold Bureau. Gone. I stood there for a long moment, staring at that empty space. And then I heard voices from the kitchen. I'm telling you, babe, we hit the jackpot. My sister ain't gonna do nothing. She's too soft. She always been soft. That was Tyrone's voice. I don't know, Ty. She looked mad. Like, really mad. That was the fiancé. She ain't mad. She just needs to get used to it. Mama said this house should have been mine anyway. Grandmama was old and senile when she put it in Simone's name. A 16-year-old can't own property. That's gotta be illegal or something. We should probably get that safe out of here before she comes back. The guy from the pawn shop said he'd give us cash for whatever's inside. My ears perked up at that. They hadn't opened the safe yet. They were planning to. Where is it? The fiancé asked. In the garage. Thing weighs a ton. Had to use the dolly to get it out. Marcus is coming by later with his boy who knows how to crack safes. Marcus. My husband was in on this. Of course he was. I pulled out my phone and texted Keisha. Emergency. Grandmama's house. Come now. Bring the police. Then I walked into the kitchen. Tyrone was sitting at my grandmother's kitchen table, the old oak table where she used to roll out biscuit dough on Sunday mornings, eating a bowl of cereal. He looked up when I walked in, and for a split second, I saw fear in his eyes. Then it was gone, replaced by that smug, entitled smirk he'd been wearing since he was old enough to talk. Hey, sis, he said, like nothing was wrong. Welcome home. You want some cereal? We got Fruit Loops. Get out of my house. Come on now, don't be like that. This is family business. Mama said. I don't give a damn what Mama said. This is my house. My name is on the deed. Get your lazy, no job having, for baby mama supporting ass out of my grandmother's house before I put you out myself. Tyrone's smirk faded. You better watch your mouth, Simone. You might have all that money and that fancy degree, but you ain't better than me. You ain't never been better than me. Grandmama just felt sorry for you because you were always so damn pitiful. That's when I grabbed the bowl of Fruit Loops and smashed it over his head. Milk and cereal went everywhere. Tyrone jumped up, screaming, "You crazy bitch!" He lunged at me. I ducked. And then I grabbed the cast iron skillet off the stove, Grandmama's skillet, the one she used to make fried chicken every Sunday, the one that was probably older than Jesus himself, and I swung it like I was trying out for the Braves. It connected with the side of Tyrone's head with a sound like a watermelon being dropped off a balcony. His eyes rolled back. His knees buckled. And he went down like a sack of potatoes, sprawled out on the kitchen floor with Fruit Loops in his hair. Oh my God. Oh my God. You killed him. The fiancée was in the doorway, screaming her head off, pulling out her phone. I'm calling the police. I'm calling the police right now. You're going to jail for this. No, I said, stepping over Tyrone's unconscious body. I'm calling the police. And when they get here, they're going to have some very interesting questions about the safe you stole from my bedroom. Her face went pale. Safe? What safe? I don't know nothing about no safe. Then you won't mind if they search the garage, will you? She opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. And then she did the only thing a rat does when the ship starts sinking. She ran. She bolted out the back door, jumped into Tyrone's Charger, and peeled out of the driveway so fast she left skid marks on the concrete. I watched her go, then pulled out my phone and dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? I need police at 1427 Cascade Road, I said. My house has been broken into. An armed suspect is unconscious on my kitchen floor. And I need to report a grand theft, 8 kilograms of gold bars, value approximately $400,000. The dispatcher's voice went up an octave. Ma'am, did you say $400,000? Yes, ma'am, I did. And I have all the documentation. Purchase receipts. Serial numbers. Bank transfer records. Everything you'll need to make an arrest. I'm dispatching officers now. Is the suspect still unconscious? I looked down at Tyrone, who was starting to stir and moan. He's waking up, I said. But don't worry. I've got a skillet. Ma'am? Never mind. Just send the police. I hung up. Tyrone groaned and tried to sit up, clutching his head. What happened? Where's LaToya? Your fiancé? She ran. Left you here with me. Guess that ride-or-die love wasn't as strong as she thought, huh? Simone, listen, I can explain. You can explain to the police, I said. Because they're on their way. And when they get here, you're going to tell them exactly where my safe is, exactly who helped you move it, and exactly what Mama promised you. Tyrone's eyes went wide. You called the cops? On your own brother? You broke into my house. You stole my furniture. You tried to steal my gold. You threatened to kill me. Brother or not, you committed multiple felonies, Tyrone. And I'm done protecting you. You're a monster, he spat. You're a cold-hearted, evil, bougie-ass monster. Grandmama would be ashamed of you. I walked over to him, squatted down, and looked him dead in the eye. Grandmama told me on her deathbed not to let anyone take my foundation, I said. I'm just keeping my promise. That's when Mama D burst through the front door. I don't know how she got there so fast. Maybe LaToya called her. Maybe she had a sixth sense for when her golden child was in trouble. But there she was, all 280 pounds of her, wearing a purple church dress and a hat that looked like a peacock exploded on it, with fire in her eyes. What in the name of Jesus is going on here? She saw Tyrone on the floor. She saw the skillet in my hand. And she lost her entire mind. You hit my son. You hit my baby. You demon. You devil. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I bind your evil spirit, Satan. Get thee behind me. She charged at me, swinging her oversized purse like a weapon. I dodged the purse. But I didn't dodge the slap. Her hand connected with my cheek so hard my head snapped to the side and I tasted blood. You ungrateful little bitch, she screamed. After everything I'd done for you. After I birthed you and raised you and fed you and clothed you. This is how you repay me? By attacking your own brother? By calling the police on your own family? I touched my cheek. It was already swelling. Raised me? I said. You didn't raise me. Grandmama raised me. You were out chasing men while Grandmama was working double shifts to keep food on the table. You were getting your nails done while Grandmama was teaching me how to read. You were at the club while Grandmama was sitting at my ballet recitals. Mama D's face twisted with rage. I knew it. I always knew it. You think you're better than me. You think because you got that degree and that fancy job, you're better than the woman who gave you life. I don't think I'm better than you, I said. I just know I'm not your ATM. And I'm not Tyrone's safety net. And this house belongs to me. Not you. Not Tyrone. Not your whole damn church congregation. This house belongs to the family, she screamed. Your grandmother would have wanted Tyrone to have it. He's the man. He's supposed to carry on the family name. What's a woman gonna do with a whole house by herself? I stared at her. And I realized, in that moment, that she actually believed what she was saying. She actually believed that Tyrone deserved the house more than me because he was a man. She actually believed that my money was family money, but Tyrone's failures were private business. She actually believed that I was the villain in this story. I'm a woman, I said. And I bought 2 houses by myself. I built a career by myself. I built a life by myself. In spite of you, not because of you. She opened her mouth to scream again. But that's when the police kicked down the door. 2 officers, a black man and a white woman, came through the door with their hands on their weapons. Atlanta police. Everybody put your hands where I can see them. Mama D immediately switched from demon to damsel. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Officers, thank God you're here. My daughter has lost her mind. She attacked my son with a deadly weapon. Look at him. He's bleeding. The male officer looked at Tyrone, who was still on the floor holding his head. Then he looked at me. Then he looked at the skillet in my hand. Ma'am, please put down the skillet. I set it on the counter. Officer, I'm Simone Washington. I'm the one who called 911. This is my house. These people broke in, stole my furniture, and attempted to steal my safe containing $400,000 in gold bars. Mama D gasped like I'd just slapped her with a Bible. That is a lie. A lie from the pit of hell. This is family property. I am her mother. I have every right to be here. The female officer looked from me to Mama D. Ma'am, are you saying you own this house? I'm saying it's family property. And family looks out for family. This selfish heifer is just mad because we gave her brother what he deserved. Do you have any documentation proving ownership? Mama D's mouth opened and closed. Well, the deed is, it's complicated. But I'm her mother. A mother has rights. Actually, I said, pulling a folder out of my bag, I have the deed right here. Along with my purchase records for the gold bars, complete with serial numbers, and the police report I'm filing for grand theft and breaking and entering. I handed the folder to the female officer. She opened it. Her eyes got wide. She looked at her partner. Johnson, you need to see this. Officer Johnson took the folder and flipped through it. His expression went from professional to stunned. Ms. Washington, you said 8 kilograms of gold? That's correct. Purchased from the U.S. Gold Bureau over 5 years. Every bar has a unique serial number. I have the matching records. And you believe the suspects have these gold bars in their possession? They moved my safe to the garage, I said. Tyrone was bragging about it to his fiancée before I knocked him out. He said Marcus, my husband, was coming by later with someone who could crack the safe. Officer Johnson looked at his partner. Go check the garage. The female officer disappeared through the back door. Mama D was still standing in the middle of the living room, her face a mask of fury and fear. This is ridiculous. This is entrapment. This is a setup. My daughter is trying to frame me. Ma'am, please remain calm, Officer Johnson said. Calm? You want me to be calm? My son is bleeding on the floor. My daughter is a traitor to her own blood. And you want me to be calm? The female officer came back from the garage. It's there, she said. A large safe. Looks like someone tried to pry it open with a crowbar. There's damage to the lock. Officer Johnson looked at Tyrone. Sir, can you stand up? Tyrone struggled to his feet, still clutching his head. I want a lawyer, he mumbled. I ain't saying nothing without a lawyer. That's your right, Officer Johnson said. But we're going to need you to come to the station for questioning. And we're going to need to open that safe. Mama D grabbed Tyrone's arm. Don't you say a word, baby. Not one word. They can't prove nothing. That gold could be anybody's. Simone probably planted it there. She's always been jealous of you. Jealous? Of Tyrone. The man who couldn't hold a job at a gas station. The man who had 4 children by 4 different women and didn't pay child support for any of them. The man who was living in my grandmother's house, eating my cereal, and planning to steal my gold. I was jealous of him. I laughed out loud. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was a laugh of pure, exhausted, 10 years of putting up with this bullshit madness. You think I'm jealous? I said. Mama, I make more money in a month than Tyrone has made in his entire life. I own 3 properties. I have a career. I have a future. What does Tyrone have? A rented Charger he can't afford and a fiancé who ran out on him the second things got hard. You shut your mouth. No, you shut yours. For 30 years, you've been telling me that I owe you. That I owe Tyrone. That my success belongs to the whole family. But you know what? I don't owe you nothing. And I'm done letting you steal from me. Officer Johnson cleared his throat. Ms. Washington, we're going to need you to come to the station as well. To give a formal statement. Of course, I said. My lawyer will meet us there. Lawyer? Mama D screeched. You got a lawyer? You planned this whole thing, didn't you? You set us up. You lying, scheming, ungrateful. Ma'am, if you continue to yell, I'm going to have to place you in handcuffs, Officer Johnson said. Mama D's mouth slammed shut. She looked at me with pure, undiluted hatred. This ain't over, she hissed. You think you won? You ain't won nothing. The Lord sees what you're doing. And he will strike you down. Tell the Lord I said hey, I replied. They cuffed Tyrone and led him out to the patrol car. Mama D followed, still muttering prayers and curses under her breath. I stayed behind to lock up the house, my grandmother's house, the house I had just fought for with a cast iron skillet and a folder full of receipts. Keisha pulled up just as the patrol cars were pulling away. She jumped out of her Benz, looking like $1 million in a tailored navy suit and red-bottom heels. Girl, what the hell happened? I got your text and flew over here. Did I miss the whole thing? Pretty much, I said. But don't worry. The main event is just getting started. What does that mean? I pulled out my phone and showed her a text message I'd received while Mama D was screaming at me. It was from Marcus. Hey babe, heard you're back in town. Everything okay? Mom called and said there was some drama at your grandma's old place. You know how she gets. Let's just talk it out and keep the family peace. The family peace. He knew. He knew what Mama D and Tyrone were doing. He was probably the one who told them I was out of town. And he wanted to keep the peace. Marcus was in on it, I told Keisha. He knew they were stealing my house and my gold. And I'm pretty sure he's been cheating on me with some bottle girl from Magic City. Keisha's eyes lit up like Christmas had come early. Oh, honey. You know I love a good divorce case. What do you want to do? I looked at my grandmama's house. At the place where I learned to read, to cook, to pray, to be strong. At the foundation she built for me with her own 2 hands. I want to take everything, I said. Every last dime. Every piece of property. Every shred of dignity they have left. And when I'm done, I want them to remember my name and tremble. Keisha grinned. Now that's what I'm talking about. Let's go to war. The police station smelled like stale coffee, old sweat, and broken dreams. I sat in a hard plastic chair in the interrogation room, my hands folded on the metal table in front of me, waiting. Keisha was beside me, her briefcase open, her legal pad out, her game face on. Across the hall, I could hear Mama D screaming through the walls. You can't do this to me. I'm a woman of God. I pay my tithes. I'm a mother. I have rights. The door opened and Officer Johnson walked in, carrying a thick file folder and a very tired expression. Ms. Washington, your mother has been difficult. She's not difficult, I said. She's a narcissist with a persecution complex and a bad wig. There's a difference. Officer Johnson almost smiled. We were able to open the safe. It took our guys about 20 minutes with the right tools. Your brother's friend apparently wasn't very good at safe cracking. He'd only managed to scratch up the door. And the contents? 8 kilograms of gold bars, exactly as you described. We verified the serial numbers against your purchase records. They match perfectly. Keisha leaned forward. So we've got them on breaking and entering, grand theft, and conspiracy. What about the mother? Officer Johnson sighed. That's where it gets complicated. Your mother is claiming she had permission to be in the house. She says you gave her a key years ago and that you've always treated it as family property. That's a lie, I said. I never gave her a key. She had a locksmith break-in 3 years ago and made copies. I have the records from the locksmith company. They have her signature on the work order. I pulled another document out of my bag and slid it across the table. Officer Johnson picked it up, read it, and shook his head. Ms. Washington, do you keep records of everything? I'm a forensic accountant. It's what I do. Keisha smirked. She's been preparing for this day for 10 years. You have no idea. Well, Officer Johnson said, between the gold, the safe, the locksmith records, and the text messages we found on your brother's phone, we have enough to charge both of them. Your mother is looking at burglary, grand larceny, and conspiracy. Your brother is looking at the same, plus assault for threatening to kill you. What about my husband? Officer Johnson's expression shifted. We're still looking into that. Your brother mentioned him during questioning. Said Marcus was supposed to bring a guy to crack the safe. But when we called your husband to come in for questioning, he lawyered up immediately. Wouldn't say a word. Of course he did. Marcus was a lot of things, lazy, unfaithful, a leech, but he wasn't stupid. He knew when to shut up and call a lawyer. Don't worry about Marcus, Keisha said. I'll handle him. Right now, let's focus on getting Mama D and Tyrone formally charged. Officer Johnson nodded and left the room. I sat back in my chair and let out a long breath. You okay? Keisha asked. I'm better than okay. I'm free. You're not free yet. We still have to deal with Marcus. And you know he's going to fight dirty. Let him fight. I've been fighting his lazy ass for 8 years. At least now I get paid for it. Keisha laughed. Girl, you are something else. Most women would be crying in a bathtub right now, eating ice cream and listening to sad music. You're sitting here like you're about to close a business deal. Because that's exactly what this is. Marriage is a contract. Marcus breached the contract. Now I'm suing for damages. You're the coldest woman I know. I learned from the coldest woman I know. Now, let's go watch Mama D get processed. We walked out into the hallway just in time to see Mama D being led toward the holding cells in handcuffs. She was still screaming. I want my pastor. I want my church family. You can't do this to a woman of God. The Lord will strike you down. He struck down Pharaoh and he'll strike down you. She saw me. Her eyes locked onto mine like heat-seeking missiles. You Jezebel. You snake. I should have drowned you in the bathtub when you were a baby. I knew you were evil. I knew it. Ma'am, please keep walking, the officer escorting her said. Evil. Evil. You're gonna burn in hell for this, Simone. You hear me? Burn in hell. I walked up to her, close enough that only she could hear me. See you in court, Mama. She spat at me. The spit landed on my blouse. I didn't flinch. I just wiped it off with a tissue from my pocket and smiled. You just added assault on top of everything else. There are cameras everywhere in here. Her face went white. She hadn't thought of that. Oh, and one more thing, I said. The gold you stole? It's worth $400,000. In Georgia, theft over $25,000 is a felony with a mandatory minimum of 2 years. 400,000? You're looking at 10 to 25. You might die in prison, Mama. Think about that while you're sitting in your cell tonight. I turned and walked away. Behind me, Mama D let out a scream so loud and so primal that it echoed through the entire police station like the cry of a wounded animal. Keisha caught up with me in the parking lot. That was cold. She spat on me. I saw. But telling her she might die in prison? That was ice cold. She should have thought about that before she stole from her own daughter. Speaking of thieves, Keisha said, we need to talk about Marcus. When are you going to confront him? Tonight. But first, I need to pick up a few things from the house. I'll come with you. No. This is something I need to do alone. Keisha gave me a long look. Simone, you sure? The man is cornered. Cornered men do stupid things. I'm not scared of Marcus. I've been living with him for 8 years. The only dangerous thing about him is his credit card debt. All right. But text me every 30 minutes. If I don't hear from you, I'm sending the cavalry. Deal. I drove to the house in Buckhead, the big, beautiful, 5-bedroom house that Marcus had insisted we needed. The house I had paid for. The house where Marcus had been living rent-free while planning to help my family steal my gold. I pulled into the driveway and sat in the car for a moment, looking at the house. It was a beautiful house. Brick exterior, manicured lawn, a 3-car garage. The kind of house my grandmama never dreamed she'd live in. And I was about to burn it all down. I got out of the car and walked up to the front door. Before I could put my key in the lock, the door swung open. Marcus stood there, looking like he'd just rolled out of bed. His shirt was wrinkled. His eyes were bloodshot. He smelled like cheap cologne and cheaper whiskey. Simone. Baby. I've been trying to call you. Have you? Yeah, I heard about what happened at your grandma's place. That's crazy. Your mama is out of control. I can't believe she would do something like that. I walked past him into the living room. So you had nothing to do with it? Me? No. Of course not. Why would I have anything to do with stealing your house? Because you're broke. Because you've been broke for 8 years. Because I cut off your allowance last month and you've been desperate ever since. Marcus's face twitched. Allowance? That's what you call it. What would you call it? You don't work. You don't contribute. You just take. That's an allowance, Marcus. I've been giving my grown husband an allowance like he's a 12-year-old. Now hold on. No, you hold on. I turned to face him. I know everything. Tyrone told the police that you were supposed to bring someone to crack the safe. He said you've been planning this with Mama D for weeks. That's a lie. Tyrone is a liar. Everybody knows Tyrone is a liar. Tyrone is a liar. But he's not smart enough to come up with a plan like this on his own. Someone had to tell him when I was out of town. Someone had to tell him where the safe was. Someone had to find a guy who could crack it. That someone was you. Marcus opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. All right. All right. Maybe I knew a little bit about what they were planning. But I didn't think they'd actually go through with it. I thought they were just talking. You thought they were just talking about stealing $400,000 in gold from your wife? I thought it was just talk. You know how your family is. They're always running their mouths about something. So you didn't think to warn me? You didn't think to tell your wife that her mother and brother were planning to rob her? Marcus ran his hands over his face. I was going to tell you. I swear I was going to tell you. But then things got complicated. Complicated how? He hesitated. I could see the gears turning in his head, trying to figure out the right answer, the one that would save his skin. Complicated like the bottle girl from Magic City? The one you've been seeing for 6 months? The one you've been buying Gucci bags for with my credit card? The color drained from his face. How do you know about that? I'm a forensic accountant, Marcus. I track money for a living. Did you really think I wouldn't notice $5,000 in charges at Saks Fifth Avenue when I haven't gotten a single gift in 2 years? It's not what you think. Oh, I know exactly what it is. Her name is Destiny. She's 24 years old. She works at Magic City on Tuesday and Thursday nights. You met her 6 months ago and you've been paying for an apartment for her in Midtown. You told her you were a successful entrepreneur and that your wife didn't understand you. Marcus staggered backward like I'd punched him. How long have you known? About 2 months. I've been gathering evidence. Bank statements. Credit card receipts. Text messages. Emails. Photographs. I hired a private investigator 3 weeks ago. He got some beautiful shots of you and Destiny at a hotel in Buckhead. You looked very happy together. You hired a PI? On your own husband? You were planning to help my family steal from me. I'd say we're even. Marcus sank down onto the couch, his head in his hands. What are you going to do? I'm going to divorce you. I'm going to take this house. I'm going to take the cars. I'm going to take every joint asset we have. And then I'm going to sue you for restitution of every dime I spent supporting you for the last 8 years. You can't do that. The courts don't work like that. The courts work exactly like that when you have evidence. And I have evidence, Marcus. 8 years of evidence. Every bank transfer. Every credit card payment. Every loan I gave you that you never paid back. Keisha has already drafted the papers. You'll be served tomorrow morning. Marcus looked up at me, his eyes wet with tears. Simone, please. Don't do this. I love you. I know I messed up. I know I did wrong. But I love you. We can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can. No. We can't. But we've been together for 12 years. And for 10 of those years, I've been carrying you on my back. I'm tired, Marcus. My back hurts. I'm putting you down. I walked toward the bedroom. Where are you going? To pack a bag. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. When I come back tomorrow, I want you gone. Take your clothes, take your shoes, take your PlayStation. Everything else stays. You can't kick me out. This is my house too. Actually, it's not. I bought this house before we got married. And I had the good sense to get a prenup. Something else you apparently forgot. Marcus's face went through a series of emotions: shock, anger, fear, and finally, pure desperation. The prenup. You're really going to use the prenup? I'm really going to use the prenup. That prenup says I get nothing if we divorce because of infidelity. I know. I wrote it that way. You planned this? From the beginning? I didn't plan for you to cheat. But I planned for the possibility. My grandmama always said, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. I prepared. Marcus stood up, his hands shaking. You cold-hearted bitch. You never loved me. You were just waiting for me to mess up so you could throw me out like trash. I walked up to him, close enough to smell the whiskey on his breath. You're right, I said. I stopped loving you about 4 years ago. That's when I realized you weren't a partner. You were a dependent. You were another mouth to feed, another bill to pay, another problem to solve. And I was already taking care of my whole damn family. I didn't have the energy to take care of you too. Then why didn't you leave? Because I made a vow. For better or for worse. I kept hoping the better would show up. But it never did. And now you've given me the worse I needed to walk away with a clear conscience. I turned and walked down the hallway to the master bedroom. Behind me, I heard Marcus collapse onto the couch, sobbing. I didn't look back. I packed a suitcase with essentials, clothes, toiletries, my laptop, and the folder containing all the financial records I'd been compiling for the past 2 months. The folder was thick. Bank statements going back 8 years, showing every transfer from my account to Marcus's. Credit card bills showing charges at restaurants, hotels, and jewelry stores, all for Destiny, none for me. Text message screenshots where Marcus complained to his friends about his controlling wife who didn't appreciate him. Photos from the private investigator, showing Marcus and Destiny at dinner, at the movies, at a hotel in Buckhead with his arm around her waist. And the piece de resistance, a recorded phone conversation where Marcus told Destiny, "Don't worry, baby. My wife is about to come into some money. Once her grandma's house sells, I'll get my cut. Then we can be together for real." He was planning to sell my grandmother's house. The house she worked 42 years to buy. The house she died protecting. He was going to sell it and run off with a bottle girl from Magic City. I zipped up my suitcase and walked back out to the living room. Marcus was still on the couch, crying. When did you plan to sell my grandmother's house? I asked. His crying stopped. What? I heard the recording, Marcus. You told Destiny you were going to sell my grandmother's house and take your cut. When were you planning to do that? I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. I've already heard the recording. I just want to know when. He was silent for a long moment. Then, quietly, he said, next month. Your mama said she could get the deed transferred. She knows a guy at the county recorder's office who would push it through for $5,000. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Get the deed transferred. To who? To her. And then she was going to sell the house and split the money with me and Tyrone. My mother was going to forge my signature and steal my house. And you were going to help her. It wasn't my idea. It was your mama's. She came to me with the plan. She said you didn't deserve that house anyway, that you were too selfish to share with your family. She said it was what your grandmama would have wanted. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of it all, my mother, my brother, and my husband, all conspiring together to steal everything I had, was so ridiculous that laughter was the only appropriate response. You think this is funny? Marcus asked. I think it's hilarious. You 3 idiots thought you could outsmart me. A forensic accountant. A woman whose entire career is built on catching people who steal money. We weren't trying to outsmart you. We were trying to get what we deserved. What you deserved. What exactly do you think you deserved, Marcus? You haven't worked in 8 years. You haven't contributed a single thing to this household. You've been cheating on me for 6 months. What exactly do you deserve? I deserve respect. I deserve to be treated like a man. A man earns respect. A man provides for his family. A man keeps his vows. You're not a man. You're a boy who never grew up. And I'm done raising you. I pulled the divorce papers out of my bag and tossed them on the coffee table. These will be served officially tomorrow. But I want you to read them tonight. Let it sink in. Let it hurt. And then pack your stuff and get out of my house. I walked to the door. Simone? I stopped but didn't turn around. I did love you. Once. Before all the money and the career and the coldness. I did love you. I stood there for a moment, letting his words hang in the air. You loved what I could give you, I said. You never loved me. I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I closed it gently, quietly, like the final page of a book I'd been reading for far too long. That night, I checked into the Ritz-Carlton in downtown Atlanta. I ordered room service, a steak, medium rare, with a glass of red wine that cost more than Marcus's entire wardrobe. I sat by the window, looking out at the city skyline, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. My phone buzzed. It was Keisha. You okay? You missed your 30-minute check-in. I'm fine. I confronted Marcus. It's done. Did he cry? Like a baby. Good. I hope it was ugly crying. I hope snot was involved. It was definitely snot involved. Beautiful. I'm putting the finishing touches on the divorce filing. You want to go over it tomorrow? First thing. And Simone? Yeah? I'm proud of you. I know this is hard. But you're doing the right thing. I looked out at the lights of the city where my grandmama had worked, had saved, had built a legacy for her granddaughter. I know, I said. I just wish grandmama was here to see it. She is here. She's in you. Everything you are, everything you've done, it's all because of her. You're her legacy, Simone. And you're making her proud. I hung up the phone and let the tears fall. Not tears of sadness. Tears of release. The next morning, I met Keisha at her office. Her law firm was in a high-rise building in downtown Atlanta, all glass and steel and polished marble. The kind of place that screamed, we charge $1,000 an hour and we're worth every penny. Keisha was already at her desk when I arrived, surrounded by stacks of paper. I've been up since 4, she said. Coffee? Please. She poured me a cup from the fancy espresso machine in her office. Okay. Here's where we are. The criminal case against Mama D and Tyrone is solid. The DA is talking about 10 to 15 for Mama D, 5 to 8 for Tyrone. They're both looking at felony charges. What about the assault? Mama D slapping me at the house? There's a body cam recording from one of the officers. The whole thing was caught on video. That's another charge on top of everything else. And the spitting at the police station? Also on camera. Mama D really did herself no favors. What about Marcus? Keisha's expression shifted from professional to predatory. Ah, yes. Marcus. The cheating, scheming, no-good husband. I prepared a little surprise for him. She handed me a thick document. I flipped through it. It was the divorce filing. But it wasn't just a divorce filing. It was a declaration of war. Keisha, what am I looking at? You're looking at a petition for divorce on grounds of adultery, financial fraud, and conspiracy to commit grand theft. I'm asking for full ownership of the marital home, both vehicles, all joint accounts, and a lump sum payment for the 8 years of financial support you provided to Marcus, calculated at the average annual cost of maintaining a dependent adult male in the state of Georgia, plus interest. You can do that? Honey, I'm the best divorce lawyer in Atlanta. I can do anything. There's more. Flip to page 12. I flipped to page 12. It was a separate filing, a civil suit against Marcus for emotional distress, financial damages, and punitive damages related to his involvement in the conspiracy to steal your property. Emotional distress? He made you think you were going crazy for years. He gaslit you. He cheated on you. He conspired with your mother to steal from you. That's emotional distress. And juries love emotional distress cases. I kept reading. Page after page of legal arguments, cited precedents, itemized damages. It was beautiful. It was a masterpiece. Keisha, you're a genius. I know. But wait, there's more. The best part. She handed me a single sheet of paper. It was titled, Exhibit H, 10-year invoice for family financial support. What is this? This is the nuke. This is the thing that's going to bury them all. I read the document. It was an itemized list. Every dollar I had ever given to Mama D, Tyrone, and Marcus over the past 10 years. Rent payments for Mama D's duplex, $72,000. Car payments for Tyrone's Charger, $18,400. Tyrone's child support back payments, $34,200. Marcus's business loans that were never repaid, $45,000. Mama D's medical bills, $28,500. Tyrone's legal fees for his 2 prior arrests, $15,000. Mama D's church trips and revival conferences, $22,000. Marcus's credit card debt that I paid off, $31,000. The list went on and on. Total at the bottom, $387,650. This is everything, I said. Every single dime I gave him. Every single dime. And we're asking for all of it back, plus interest. Total damages, $420,000. They don't have that kind of money. I know. That's the point. When they can't pay, we go after their assets. Mama D's car. Tyrone's car. Any property they own. Any bank accounts. We take it all. Marcus will have to sell everything. Marcus will have to sell his soul, if he had one. But honestly, the real goal isn't the money. It's the message. What message? That you are not a victim. You are not a doormat. You are not an ATM. And anyone who tries to use you will end up broke, humiliated, and legally destroyed. I looked at the document in my hands. My grandmama's voice echoed in my head. Don't let them take your foundation, baby girl. I'm not just protecting my foundation, I said. I'm building a fortress. Keisha raised her coffee cup. To fortresses. And to burning down everything that threatens them. I clinked my cup against hers. Let's burn it all down. 2 weeks later, the preliminary hearing for Mama D and Tyrone began. The courtroom was packed. Word had gotten out about the case, the successful black woman who had her own mother arrested for stealing $400,000 in gold, and the media was having a field day. Gold Heist Granny was the headline on one of the local news sites. Family Feud turns felonious was another. Mama D had done interviews from jail, crying to anyone who would listen about her evil, ungrateful daughter who had sold her soul to Satan and the white man's legal system. It didn't help her case. The DA had shown the interviews to the judge as evidence of lack of remorse and continued hostility toward the victim. When Mama D was led into the courtroom in handcuffs, she was wearing an orange jumpsuit and a scowl that could curdle milk. She spotted me sitting in the gallery and her eyes narrowed. You, she hissed. You did this to me. Your own mother. How do you sleep at night? I sleep fine, I said. How's the jail mattress? She lunged toward me, but the bailiff held her back. Control yourself, Ms. Washington, the judge warned. Or I'll have you removed from this courtroom. The hearing lasted 3 hours. The prosecution presented the evidence, the locksmith records, the text messages, the safe, the gold bars with matching serial numbers, the body cam footage of Mama D slapping me. The defense tried to argue that it was a family dispute that should be settled out of court. The judge wasn't having it. Family disputes don't involve $400,000 in stolen gold, she said. This is a criminal matter. The defendants will stand trial. Mama D burst into tears. No. No, you can't do this. I'm a good woman. I go to church every Sunday. I pay my tithes. This is persecution. This is. The bailiff put his hand on her shoulder. Ma'am, please come with me. As she was being led out, she looked at me one last time. I will never forgive you for this, she said. Never. You hear me? When I die and go to heaven, I'm gonna tell Grandmama what you did. And she's gonna turn her back on you. Grandmama is the reason I'm doing this, I said. She told me to protect my foundation. I'm just keeping my promise. The bailiff led her away, her curses echoing down the hallway. Tyrone's hearing was next. He looked terrified. The cocky smirk was gone, replaced by the pale, sweating face of a man who had finally realized that actions have consequences. Your Honor, his public defender said, my client is a first-time offender who was acting under the influence of his mother. He takes full responsibility for his actions and is prepared to testify against his co-defendant in exchange for leniency. Testify against his co-defendant. He was going to throw Mama D under the bus. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The judge agreed to consider the plea deal, and Tyrone was led away. As he passed me, he stopped. Simone, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I never wanted any of this to happen. Yes, you did. You wanted the house. You wanted the gold. You just didn't want the consequences. Please. Please don't let them send me to prison. I'm your brother. You stopped being my brother the moment you helped Mama steal my safe. The bailiff tugged his arm. Let's go. Tyrone looked back at me one last time, his eyes full of something I had never seen in him before. Fear. Real, genuine, soul-deep fear. And I felt nothing. Not pity. Not sadness. Not even satisfaction. Just nothing. He was a stranger to me now. They all were. That afternoon, Marcus was served with the divorce papers and the civil suit. He called me 27 times in the span of an hour. I let every call go to voicemail. In his last message, he was crying so hard I could barely understand him. Simone, please. $420,000? I don't have that kind of money. You know I don't have that kind of money. You're going to destroy me. Please, baby. Please. We can work something out. I'll do anything. Anything. I deleted the message and blocked his number. That evening, I drove out to Grandmama's house. It was still a mess, Tyrone's ugly furniture, the empty space where the safe used to be, the cracked drywall where they'd damaged it while moving the safe out. But it was still standing. It was still mine. I walked through the rooms, touching the walls, remembering. I remembered sitting at Grandmama's feet while she braided my hair, telling me stories about growing up in rural Georgia, about picking cotton as a little girl, about moving to Atlanta with nothing but a suitcase and a dream. I remembered her teaching me how to make biscuits from scratch, her hands covered in flour, her voice soft and patient. The secret to good biscuits, she'd say, is not to overwork the dough. You got to be gentle. You got to give it time to rise. Same thing with people, baby girl. You can't force folks to be what they ain't. You just give them time, and they'll show you who they are. She was right. Mama D had shown me who she was. Tyrone had shown me who he was. Marcus had shown me who he was. And I had finally believed them. I sat down on the floor of the empty living room, in the spot where Grandmama's old rocking chair used to be, and I closed my eyes. I did it, Grandmama, I whispered. I protected the foundation. I didn't let them take it. I hope you're proud of me. And in the silence of that empty house, I could almost feel her hand on my shoulder, warm and reassuring. I was always proud of you, baby girl. Always. I opened my eyes. The house was still empty. But I wasn't alone. I had my grandmama's strength in my veins. I had her lessons in my heart. And I had a war to finish. The trial of Patricia Denise Washington, also known as Mama D, began on a Tuesday morning in the Fulton County Superior Court. The courtroom was packed. Every seat in the gallery was filled. News vans were parked outside. Reporters were lined up on the courthouse steps. A helicopter buzzed overhead, because apparently, the story of a black woman sending her own mother to prison for stealing $400,000 in gold bars was national news now. Gold Heist Granny had gone viral. Mama D had become a meme. Someone had photoshopped her face onto a wanted poster from the Old West with the caption, "Wanted, Mama D, for crimes against her daughter and common sense." I'd seen it on Instagram. I'd laughed for 5 straight minutes. Now, sitting in the witness gallery with Keisha beside me, I wasn't laughing anymore. I was ready. The prosecution had built an airtight case. The locksmith records showing Mama D had illegally obtained keys to my house. The text messages between her and Tyrone discussing the gold and the safe. The body cam footage of her slapping me, spitting on me, and threatening me with eternal damnation. The gold bars themselves, with serial numbers matching my purchase records exactly. It was overkill, really. But the DA, a sharp black woman named Angela Davis Robinson, no relation to the icon, but she liked to say she channeled her spirit, wasn't taking any chances. "Your Honor," Angela said in her opening statement, "this case is about greed. It's about a mother who looked at her daughter not as a child to love, but as a resource to exploit. It's about entitlement. It's about a woman who believed that her daughter's success belonged to her, and who was willing to commit multiple felonies to take what wasn't hers." She walked slowly toward the jury box, making eye contact with each juror. "The evidence will show that Patricia Washington, along with her son Tyrone Washington, broke into the home of her daughter, Simone Washington. She replaced the locks. She gave the house to her son as a wedding gift. She removed Ms. Washington's personal property. And she stole a safe containing $400,000 in gold bars." She paused, letting the number hang in the air. $400,000. That's not a family dispute, ladies and gentlemen. That's grand larceny. That's burglary. That's conspiracy. And the evidence will prove it beyond any reasonable doubt. The defense attorney, a tired-looking man with a bad toupee and a worse attitude, tried his best. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is not about theft. This case is about a family feud that got out of hand. Patricia Washington is a loving mother and grandmother who has devoted her life to her church and her community. She made mistakes, yes. But she never intended to steal from her daughter. She genuinely believed that the property was family property, meant to be shared." He pointed at Mama D, who was sitting at the defense table in her best church dress, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. "This woman is not a criminal. She's a mother who tried to do right by her son, and who got caught up in a misunderstanding. I ask you to find her not guilty of all charges." When Mama D took the stand, it was a performance worthy of an Oscar. She cried. She prayed. She quoted scripture. "Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee," she recited, her voice trembling. Exodus 20, verse 12. "I raised my daughter in the fear of the Lord. I gave her everything I had. And this is how she repays me? By dragging me into court like a common criminal?" She turned to the jury, tears streaming down her face. "I'm not a thief. I'm a mother. A mother who loves her children. A mother who wanted her son to have a home. Is that a crime? Is loving your children a crime?" The jury looked uncomfortable. Then it was my turn. I walked to the stand, swore on the Bible, and took my seat. Angela approached me calmly. "Ms. Washington, can you tell the court about the house in question?" "It's a house in Cascade Heights," I said. "My grandmother, Beatrice Washington, bought it in 2004. She put it in my name when I was 16 years old." She paid for it with money she saved from 42 years of working as a nurse's aide at Grady Memorial Hospital. And what did your grandmother tell you about the house? I felt the tears welling up, but I pushed them down. She told me it was my foundation. She said no matter what happened in my life, I would always have a roof over my head. She made me promise not to let anyone take it from me. Did the defendant, Patricia Washington, contribute any money to the purchase of this house? No. Not a dime. Did she ever live in the house? No. Did she ever have permission to give the house to your brother? No. Never. Angela nodded. Now, Ms. Washington, let's talk about the gold. Can you explain to the jury why you had 8 kilograms of gold bars in your home? I'm a forensic accountant. I advise my clients on long-term investment strategies. I believe in diversifying assets. Gold is a stable investment that holds its value over time. I've been purchasing investment-grade gold bars from the U.S. Gold Bureau for 5 years. And you kept records of these purchases? Every record. Purchase receipts, bank transfer confirmations, and a detailed inventory with the serial number of every single bar. Angela picked up a document from her table. Your Honor, I'd like to enter into evidence Exhibit C, the gold purchase records and serial number inventory. Objection, Your Honor, the defense attorney said. These documents could have been fabricated. Overruled, the judge said. The witness has testified to their authenticity. The documents are admitted. Angela continued. Ms. Washington, when you discovered that the defendant had taken your safe, what did you do? I called the police. I informed them that my home had been broken into and that approximately $400,000 in gold bars had been stolen. I provided them with all of my documentation. And when the police opened the safe, what did they find? 8 kilograms of gold bars. Every single bar matched the serial numbers on my inventory list. No further questions, Your Honor. The defense attorney stood up for cross-examination. He looked at me like I was something stuck to the bottom of his shoe. Ms. Washington, isn't it true that you and your mother have never gotten along? We've had our differences. Differences? Isn't it true that you've always resented your mother for not being as financially successful as you? I don't resent my mother for not being financially successful. I resent my mother for stealing from me. But that's what you're alleging, isn't it? That your mother stole from you? I'm not alleging anything. The evidence proves she stole from me. The locksmith records. The text messages. The gold bars with matching serial numbers. The body cam footage of her assaulting me. That's not allegation. That's fact. The defense attorney's eye twitched. You're very confident in your record keeping, aren't you, Ms. Washington? I'm a forensic accountant. Keeping records is my job. Some might say obsessive. Some might say thorough. I prefer thorough. He tried a different angle. Isn't it true that you've been planning to destroy your family for years? That you've been collecting evidence, waiting for them to make a mistake? I looked him dead in the eye. I've been collecting evidence since I realized my family saw me as an ATM, not a daughter. Yes. I prepared for the possibility that they would eventually try to steal from me. And when they did, I was ready. Is there a question in there, or are you just making observations? A few people in the gallery laughed. The judge banged her gavel. Order. The witness will answer the question. There wasn't a question, Your Honor, I said. But if he's asking whether I regret protecting myself from people who wanted to rob me, the answer is no. I don't regret it for 1 second. The defense attorney gave up. No further questions. I stepped down from the stand. As I walked back to my seat, I passed Mama D. She grabbed my wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong. You think you've won? She whispered. You haven't won nothing. The jury's gonna see what kind of evil, ungrateful child you are. And they're gonna set me free. I pulled my wrist away. We'll see. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. 3 hours. In a case this airtight, I'd expected 30 minutes. Keisha was nervous. 3 hours is too long, she muttered. They should have been back in 30 minutes. What are they talking about in there? They're probably just making sure they dot every I and cross every T, I said. The evidence is overwhelming. There's no way they don't convict. But my stomach was in knots. What if Mama D's performance had worked? What if the jury bought the loving mother act? What if they let her walk? The bailiff announced that the jury had reached a verdict. We filed back into the courtroom. Mama D was brought in, her hands cuffed, her face a mask of righteous indignation. The foreman, a middle-aged black man with glasses and a tired expression, stood up. Has the jury reached a unanimous verdict? We have, Your Honor. On the charge of burglary in the first degree, how do you find? We find the defendant, Patricia Washington, guilty. Mama D gasped. On the charge of grand larceny, how do you find? Guilty. On the charge of conspiracy to commit grand theft, how do you find? Guilty. On the charge of assault and battery, how do you find? Guilty. Guilty on all counts. All of them. Mama D stood up. No. No. This is a travesty. A miscarriage of justice. The devil has taken this courtroom. Satan, I rebuke you. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. The judge banged her gavel. Ms. Washington, control yourself or I will hold you in contempt. But Mama D couldn't control herself. She turned to me, her face contorted with rage. You did this. You and your fancy lawyer and your fancy records. You put the devil in their hearts. You poisoned them against me. She lunged toward me. The bailiffs grabbed her. She fought them. She kicked. She screamed. She bit one of the bailiffs on the arm. It took 3 of them to drag her out of the courtroom, still screaming, still cursing, still calling down the wrath of God on my head. The judge looked exhausted. Sentencing will be in 2 weeks. This court is adjourned. 2 weeks later, we were back for sentencing. Mama D had spent those 2 weeks in solitary confinement after the biting incident. She looked terrible. Her hair was a mess. Her eyes were sunken. The righteous fire that had burned in her throughout the trial had been replaced by something else. Fear. Real, genuine, bone-deep fear. She had finally realized that this was real. That she was going to prison. The judge read the sentence. Patricia Washington, you have been found guilty by a jury of your peers on multiple felony counts. The evidence presented at trial showed a pattern of manipulation, entitlement, and criminal behavior that is frankly shocking from a woman of your age and standing in the community. You violated not just the law, but the sacred trust between a mother and daughter. You stole from your own child. You assaulted her. You conspired with others to deprive her of her property and her inheritance. And you have shown absolutely no remorse. She paused. For the charge of burglary in the first degree, I sentence you to 15 years in the Georgia Department of Corrections. Mama D let out a wail. For the charge of grand larceny, I sentence you to 10 years, to be served concurrently. For the charge of conspiracy, I sentence you to 5 years, to be served concurrently. For the charge of assault and battery, I sentence you to 1 year, to be served concurrently. The total effective sentence is 15 years in state prison, followed by 5 years of supervised probation. You are also ordered to pay restitution to the victim in the amount of $25,000 for property damage to the victim's home. The judge looked at Mama D. Ms. Washington, I hope you use your time in prison to reflect on your actions and seek genuine repentance. This court is adjourned. Mama D collapsed. Just folded up like a lawn chair and hit the floor. The bailiffs had to carry her out. I watched her go. 15 years. She'd be 73 when she got out. If she got out. And I felt nothing. I thought I'd feel triumphant. Vindicated. victorious. But all I felt was tired. It was finally over. Tyrone took a plea deal. He pled guilty to reduced charges in exchange for testimony against Mama D and Marcus. He got 5 years, with the possibility of parole in 3. At his sentencing, he apologized to me. "I'm sorry, sis," he said, tears running down his face. "I'm so sorry. I was stupid. I was greedy. Mama got in my head and I let her. I should have known better." "I know," I said. "I hope you learned something in prison. I hope you come out a better man." "I will. I swear I will. And when I get out, I'm gonna make this right. I'm gonna pay you back every dime." "You can try. But we both know you won't." He didn't argue. Because he knew I was right. And then there was Marcus. The divorce trial was a massacre. Keisha had prepared a case so thorough, so brutal, so utterly devastating that Marcus's lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table and die. She presented the evidence of his adultery. The photographs of him with Destiny at the hotel. The credit card receipts for Gucci bags and hotel rooms and expensive dinners. The text messages where he complained about his controlling wife. The recorded phone call where he told Destiny he was planning to sell my grandmother's house. She presented the evidence of his financial parasitism. The 8 years of bank statements showing every transfer from my account to his. The loans he never repaid. The credit card debt I'd cleared. The business that never made a single dollar. And then she presented Exhibit H. The 10-year invoice. "Your Honor," Keisha said, "this document represents every dollar the plaintiff, Simone Washington, spent supporting the defendant, Marcus Johnson, over the course of their marriage. It includes direct cash transfers, debt payments, living expenses, and funds provided for Mr. Johnson's failed business ventures." She handed copies to the judge and to Marcus's lawyer. "The total amount is $387,650. With interest, the plaintiff is seeking $420,000 in restitution, in addition to full ownership of the marital home, both vehicles, and all joint assets." Marcus's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, this is absurd. There's no legal basis for this kind of demand." "There absolutely is," Keisha fired back. "Under Georgia law, a spouse who has been defrauded by their partner is entitled to seek recovery of assets obtained through that fraud. Mr. Johnson entered into this marriage under false pretenses. He represented himself as a partner who would contribute to the household. Instead, he contributed nothing but debt and infidelity. He defrauded my client for 8 years. She is entitled to restitution." The judge, a stern black woman with glasses and a no-nonsense expression, reviewed the documents. Mr. Johnson's legal counsel raises a valid point about the scope of the request. However, the evidence of financial misconduct is extensive and well documented. I'm inclined to rule in the plaintiff's favor. Marcus stood up. "Your Honor, please. I don't have that kind of money. I've never had that kind of money. If you rule against me, I'll be homeless. I'll lose everything." The judge looked at him over her glasses. "Mr. Johnson, you should have thought about that before you spent 8 years living off your wife's income while cheating on her and conspiring to steal her grandmother's house. I find in favor of the plaintiff. The marital home, both vehicles, and all joint accounts are awarded to Ms. Washington. Additionally, Mr. Johnson is ordered to pay $420,000 in restitution." This court is adjourned. Marcus collapsed into his chair. "It's over," he whispered. "It's all over." But it wasn't over. Because Marcus couldn't pay. He didn't have $420,000. He didn't have $42,000. He didn't have $4,000. So the court went after his assets. His car, the BMW I had paid for, was repossessed and returned to me. His bank accounts, funded entirely by my deposits, were seized. His personal belongings, the designer clothes, the expensive watches, the sneaker collection, were liquidated. And still, it wasn't enough. So the court garnished his future wages. For the rest of his life, or until the debt was paid, whichever came first, 25% of every paycheck Marcus Johnson ever earned would go to me. Every single paycheck. For the rest of his life. When Marcus found out, he called me from a blocked number. "How could you do this to me?" he screamed. "How could you destroy me like this? I loved you. I gave you the best years of my life." "You gave me the worst years of your life," I said. "And you gave your best years to Destiny. How is she, by the way? Still sticking around now that the money's gone?" He was silent. "She left you, didn't she? She said she couldn't be with someone who was financially unstable," he muttered. I laughed. "Imagine that. The bottle girl who was only with you for the money left when the money ran out. Shocking. Truly shocking. I have nothing left, Simone. Nothing. I'm living in my cousin's basement. I'm working at a car wash. I'm 40 years old and I'm washing cars for minimum wage. Sounds like you're finally earning what you're worth. Please. Please, just let me go. Cancel the debt. Let me start over." "No." "Why not? Haven't you done enough? Haven't you taken enough?" "I haven't taken anything," I said. "I'm just getting back what you stole from me. Every dollar. Every dime. Every penny. That's not revenge. That's justice. You're a monster. I'm a woman who finally learned to stop letting people use her. Goodbye, Marcus." I hung up. The last loose end was Destiny. I didn't go after her legally. She hadn't broken any laws. She was just a young woman who had made some bad choices and gotten caught up with a married man. I didn't blame her. I blamed Marcus. But I did make sure she knew the truth. I sent her a package, all the evidence of Marcus's financial situation. The bank statements. The credit card debt. The fact that every luxury item he had bought her was paid for with my money. I included a note. "Destiny, I don't blame you for what happened. You were lied to, just like I was. Marcus told you he was a successful entrepreneur. The truth is, he hasn't worked in 8 years. Every bag, every dinner, every hotel room, it was all paid for by me, his wife. The woman he told you was controlling and crazy. I'm not telling you this to hurt you. I'm telling you this so you know the kind of man he really is. I hope you make better choices in the future. Good luck. Simone Washington." A week later, I heard through the grapevine that Destiny had posted the whole story on social media, tagging Marcus and calling him a broke bum who was living off his wife. Marcus's reputation was destroyed. No woman in Atlanta would touch him. No employer wanted to hire him. He was toxic. Radioactive. A cautionary tale. And I was free. The cleanup took months. I had Grandmama's house restored, Tyrone's ugly furniture hauled away, the damaged walls repaired, a new safe installed. I didn't move back in. That house held too many memories now, both good and bad. But I kept it. I maintained it. I visited it every Sunday after church, just like Grandmama used to do. I would sit in the living room, in her old rocking chair that I had restored, and just breathe. Sometimes I talked to her. I did it, Grandmama. I protected the foundation. I didn't let them take it. I hope you're proud of me. And in the quiet of that empty house, I could almost hear her voice. Always, baby girl. Always. The Buckhead house, the one I'd shared with Marcus, I sold it. I didn't want it anymore. Too many bad memories. Too many ghosts. I used the money to buy a penthouse condo in Midtown, with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the Atlanta skyline that took my breath away. I decorated it exactly how I wanted. No compromises. No negotiations. No one telling me what I could and couldn't have in my own home. Just me. My taste. My peace. my career exploded. The media coverage of the trial had made me famous, not as a victim, but as a woman who had stood up for herself and won. I was invited to speak at conferences. I was profiled in magazines. I was offered a book deal, which I accepted. The book was titled Don't Let Them Take Your Foundation, A Woman's Guide to Financial Independence and Self-Respect. It became a bestseller. Black women everywhere wrote to me, telling me how my story had inspired them to leave bad marriages, to set boundaries with toxic family members, to take control of their finances. I started a nonprofit, the Beatrice Washington Foundation, named after my grandmama. Its mission was to provide financial literacy education to young Black women, teaching them how to budget, how to invest, how to build generational wealth. The same things grandmama had taught me. The first class had 20 students. A year later, we had 200. 2 years later, we had a waiting list of over 1,000. I was featured on the cover of Essence magazine. The headline read, Simone Washington, the woman who took back everything and built an empire. Keisha framed the cover and hung it in her office. Now that's what I call a glow up, she said. Mama D wrote me letters from prison. Dozens of them. At first, they were angry. Full of curses and Bible verses and accusations. I didn't read them. I threw them in the trash. Then the letters changed. They became sad. Pleading. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me. Please come visit me. I'm your mother. I'm dying in here. I didn't respond. I wasn't ready. Maybe I never would be. Tyrone got out of prison after 3 years for good behavior. He tried to contact me. I ignored him. I heard through the family grapevine that he'd gotten a job at a warehouse, that he was paying child support for 2 of his 4 kids, that he was trying to turn his life around. Good for him. I wished him well. From a distance. From a very, very safe distance. Marcus hit rock bottom. The car wash job didn't last. Neither did the next job. Or the next. He developed a drinking problem. He lost the basement apartment his cousin was letting him stay in. For a while, he was homeless. Sleeping in shelters. Panhandling on street corners. Someone sent me a photo of him, taken outside a gas station, holding a cardboard sign that said Veteran, please help. Marcus had never served in the military. Not a single day. He was lying even on his beggar's sign. I deleted the photo. He wasn't my problem anymore. And then, one Sunday afternoon, I ran into him. I was coming out of a restaurant in Midtown with Keisha after brunch. I was wearing a white dress and gold jewelry and shoes that cost more than Marcus had earned in the past year. I was laughing at something Keisha had said. I was happy. I was radiant. I was free. And there he was. Standing on the corner, holding a sign, wearing clothes that were dirty and torn. His hair was long and matted. His face was gaunt. He looked 20 years older than he was. He saw me. Our eyes met. And for a moment, neither of us moved. Then I smiled. Not a cruel smile. Not a triumphant smile. Just a smile. A smile that said, I see you. I acknowledge your existence. But you have no power over me anymore. I turned to Keisha. Ready to go? She looked at Marcus, then back at me. You don't want to say something? Rub it in a little? No. I'm done. He's not my story anymore. We walked past him. Simone, he called out. Simone, wait. Please. I didn't stop. Simone, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was a fool. I ruined everything. Please, just talk to me. Just for a minute. I kept walking. Keisha opened the car door for me. I got in. As we drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror. Marcus was standing on the corner, watching us go. His sign had fallen to the ground. He looked like a ghost. A ghost from a life I no longer lived. I turned away. So, Keisha said, where to next? I thought about it. The foundation is hosting a workshop this afternoon. 30 young women, learning about compound interest and real estate investment. I should be there. That's not what I meant. I meant, what's next for you? What's your next chapter? I looked out the window at the Atlanta skyline, at the city where my grandmama had built a life from nothing, at the city where I had almost lost everything, at the city where I had taken it all back. I don't know, I said. And that's the beautiful thing. For the first time in my life, I don't have to have a plan. I don't have to be prepared for the next attack. I don't have to protect myself from the people who were supposed to love me. I can just live. Keisha smiled. You deserve it. I know I do. That afternoon, I stood in front of 30 young black women at the Beatrice Washington Foundation. They were bright-eyed and eager, notebooks open, pens ready. I told them my story. Not the whole story, I spared them the ugly details, but enough. Enough to let them know that financial independence wasn't just about money. It was about freedom. It was about power. It was about being able to walk away from anyone and anything that didn't serve you. My grandmother used to say, don't let anyone take your foundation, I told them. Your foundation isn't just your house. It's your self-respect. Your boundaries. Your ability to say no to people who want to use you. It's your knowledge that you are worthy of respect, not because of what you can give, but because of who you are. I looked out at those 30 faces. 30 young women at the beginning of their journeys. I let people take from me for years because I thought that's what love was. I thought love meant sacrifice. I thought love meant suffering. I was wrong. Love doesn't take. Love gives. And the first person you need to give love to is yourself. One of the young women raised her hand. Ms. Washington, do you ever regret what you did? Sending your own mother to prison? I considered the question. No, I said. I don't regret it. I regret that it had to happen. I regret that my mother gave me no other choice. But I don't regret protecting myself. I don't regret standing up and saying, I am not your property. I am not your ATM. I am not your victim. No woman should ever regret that. She nodded, writing something in her notebook. After the workshop, I went home to my penthouse. I poured myself a glass of wine and stood by the window, watching the sun set over the city. My phone buzzed. It was a text from an unknown number. A photo. It was a picture of a newborn baby girl. The message underneath said, named her Simone. Hope that's okay. You inspired me to leave my abusive husband and start over. My daughter is going to grow up knowing what a strong woman looks like. Thank you. Tamika. I stared at the photo for a long time. A baby girl. Named Simone. Named after me. I saved the photo to my phone. Then I walked over to the mantel, where I kept the only photograph I had of my grandmama. She was smiling, her hair done, her church hat on, looking at the camera with eyes full of love and steel. I did it, Grandmama, I whispered. I didn't just protect the foundation. I built something new. Something that's going to outlast me. Something that's going to help other women build their own foundations. I hope you're proud. I kissed my fingers and touched them to the photograph. Then I sat down on my couch, in my penthouse, in the city where I had been born and raised and broken and rebuilt. I was 37 years old. I was single. I was successful. I was free. And for the first time in my life, I was truly, completely, gloriously happy. The end. My name is Simone Denise Washington. And this is my story.